Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm doing another requested 14-team fantasy football mock draft. This time we're drafting from the 10th spot in a 14-team standard scoring mock draft. We'll show you how to win your league by winning your draft. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right now. Hey guys, welcome back. Here we are doing another mock draft today. Today we're going to be doing another 14-team fantasy football mock draft from the 10th spot. It's a standard scoring league. This one was a requested one. Their league was set up a little bit differently. Instead of three wide receivers, we're doing just two wide receivers in the starting lineup, 6 bench spots. We're going to dive in headfirst into the shallow end right off the bat. We're going to get going on this thing. As you can see, we've already got it set up over here. We've got the standard scoring set, 10th position on a 14 team. We've got the 2 wide receivers. Everything else is pretty much standard there. 1 flex. We're going to run it with 1 minute on the clock, so 60 seconds on each pick here. Let's get rolling here. All right, so I've run through this a bunch of times, and I'm finding that obviously a lot of the time a wide receiver is the top pick available there. And it's just a matter of choice there. Now, sometimes Aaron Jones or Jonathan Taylor have fallen there, and I would gladly pick either of them right there. I think that running back is actually the value in the second round at wide receiver is still there. And so I personally prefer to grab a running back here. Some people might think it would be a reach. Obviously, it would actually. So that's kind of the problem. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And so I'm left with a decision. It's not a great decision of taking one of the top wide receivers off the board here because I don't believe a single receiver has gone yet. No. So I think at this spot, it's great value to take either Hill or Adams. If you have a preference for Diggs, I think you could go with him if you wanted to, but I think either of these two is going to, be one of those guys who's a guaranteed lead in the league for touchdowns at any given point. I do like Antonio Gibson. I do like Najee Harris, sort of, Austin Eckler, but all those guys should fall into the second round. Doubtful they'll be there when we're picking again. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill there. I do like Davante Adams. He's just got to stay healthier. All right. And then there we go. So look, Antonio Gibson does fall down the board. Eckler does fall down the board to us there. We got lucky there, but I do want to point out that the wide receiver value is still there. Look, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson. I'd go to CeeDee Lamb over Mike Evans, and Amari Cooper as well. So there's a lot of value at wide receiver here. So if you do snag the running back, or you're in a situation where you're thinking, oh, do I take somebody like Jonathan Taylor or Aaron Jones ahead of this wide receiver at that spot at that 10th pick? I would actually lean towards the running back because the value is still heavily there at wide receiver. I think there's still some top flight guys like DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, and Terry McLaurin. Certainly, I'm not saying these guys are like Tyreek Hill, Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, or Calvin Ridley. All 4 of those guys are our top 4, and we love any one of them. Ridley, though, as you might notice, went off the board right before I picked. For me, I'm going with Antonio Gibson. I think there's some people who don't like that pick. That's fine. I think he's a great snag there. Look, Mike Evans has fallen here a little bit. That's not bad. I think we need to check out running back, see what's happened over there. Darrell Henderson's available, Mike Davis, Kareem Hunt. There's a few other guys here down the board. I don't think that they're great value at this point. I think wide receivers probably where the value is a little bit more. Let's make sure nobody's tumbled in tight end. Mark Andrews is there, but I don't think that's a 3rd round pick for me there. I wouldn't reach for him. I think I would be willing to reach for Kittle and Kelsey, and that's about it. Or take them. For me, a reach would be a tight end in the first 5 rounds somewhere. Otherwise, I'm just waiting. The value just is not enough at that spot. Now, another consideration you could have at that first overall pick is to take Kelsey there. I think that the wide receivers are too enticing, though. All right, so we're going to go with another wide receiver here. We can sit tight on QB and tight end for the time being. I'm not a huge fan of Mike Evans. I think he's he's a pretty solid pick. I think that's where I'm going to go. For me, it would be between him and CeeDee Lamb. And I'm going to go with Mike Evans. I could make the argument for CeeDee Lamb. I think that both Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb have wide receiver 1 value potential this year. I'm not saying the wide receiver one. I'm saying they both have the potential to finish in the top 12, especially if Dak is healthy and full go from the start of the year. All right, so we grabbed, who was it? Mike Evans last time, and look at that. Amari Cooper falls down the board a little bit. We're looking at the running backs just to make sure. A few guys have already gone off the board. I think we've only gotten the one, so we would definitely want to consider what to do here and consider the running backs. Travis Etienne is here. These are rookies, so it's like you don't really know what you're getting out of these guys exactly, and these are a bit of a stretch right now. I could see waiting and grabbing a guy who I think is actually going to be, for his team, the running back one for the majority of the year, and that's Melvin Gordon. And Trey Sermon's a great value. There's some guys down the board here that I think present a lot more value, and so we can sit tight. I'm not taking Mark Andrews in this round. Instead, I could go with either Godwin or Cooper, and I think that what I would do is go with Amari Cooper here over Chris Godwin. I've got reasons for that. I've talked about them in actual episodes where we break down the players a little bit, and so that's why I would go that direction. Here we are in the 5th round, and a guy that's kind of growing on me is TJ Hawkinson. It's not a terrible pick in the 5th. Let's see where he might fall if we hold off. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good pick. I think that in tight end, if I'm not taking him, I'm sitting tight for at least 3 more rounds and waiting on somebody like Tonyan or Logan Thomas and going with those guys. But on the board here, out of the guys that I actually am willing to take, it would probably be those 3. It's Hawkinson, Tonyan, and Thomas. So that's the direction I'm leaning if right now I'm taking anybody. But I need to see what's going on at running back. And we could take somebody like Javonte Williams. But again, he and Melvin Gordon, I think it's Melvin Gordon at that spot. So I'm going to take Melvin Gordon and see what happens at tight end. And maybe I'll come back and grab tight end there. All right. So what has happened at tight end here? It actually switches over. So we did lose out on a few of those tight ends. Logan Thomas has gone off the board as well as Hawkinson. So for me, the only tight end left that I actually would prefer on my team from what I can see here would be Tonyan. We're not in a PPR, so that's not a terrible move. Gesicki, that's another option as well. But I think we can hold off a round or two and see if Tonyan's still hanging out. If he's not, then we go with Gesicki. I would imagine one of those will go, and then we can have the other guy. We'll probably pass on wide receiver. We don't need the depth right now there necessarily. We're going to have to take a shot on a few of these running backs because we need the depth. We're a little bit light there, in my opinion. Gibson's a solid pick, but I think that our second running back is a little bit weaker just because we don't know what that offense is going to do. It's going to be a little bit less strong this year. All right, we've got I would go with Trey Sermon, but I think that's a bit of a reach. We'll go ahead and grab Trey Sermon. I think he's going to get running back 1 carries for the majority of the year, actually. Mostert seems to not be able to find the field often enough, and Jeff Wilson's always banged up. He's good for a game or 2 usually, but that's about it. All right, so let's check out tight end and see what happened. So yeah, Tonyan's gone, so let's go ahead and grab. I know it is a reach, quite a reach here, but we want to make sure that we get the tight end that we're comfortable with that's remaining, and that's Gesicki. I think Miami's offense is quietly going to be a solid offense. I don't want to see him go, and considering he's the last guy that I would take here, yeah, I'm going to take him. Probably passing on other value. We could have spent a little bit of time looking through running backs and wide receivers there, find some depth. We can see what's happening over at QB. It's thinned out quite a bit, but there's some solid guys. As Justin and I like to describe, the difference between QB1 and QB12 is not always the greatest. And so there are guys on this that are going to be able to provide solid numbers for you. I think Tua is going to be okay. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to actually have a decent bit of volume, more than people are expecting. Kirk Cousins, he'll be okay, assuming he actually, ends up getting a vaccine or something. Jalen Hurts could be a solid pick here. The issue that I have there is I don't know if Flacco is going to beat him out for the job. That's entirely possible, but I'm not sure. I think that we should go with Jalen Hurts here, but I just want to double check at running back and wide receiver if there's anybody who I just have to have on my team here. And I don't believe that there is actually. There's a couple good opportunities here with guys like Brandon Cooks is okay. Mike Williams is okay. I think we've pushed QB as far as we can. We could have gone probably in a 14 team. You should consider if you're in the back of your draft, you should consider starting to grab QB and tight end somewhere around the 6th round. That's where you really should start figuring out what you want to do with regard to that. All right, so now we're just looking at trying to grab some depth pieces. So we're going to focus mostly on running back and tight end. Right now we've got 3 of each. I'd like to grab 3 more of one and 2 of another, and then grab kicker and defense and call it a draft. All right, so wide receiver and running back. Running back's a lot thinner already, so we probably want to start making picks there right now. There are guys like Kenneth Gainwell down there that we would like to consider grabbing. I think Jamal Williams is a good pick just because I think he's going to end up with at least 30% of the carries in that offense, if not more. I think it is entirely possible. I don't believe that Swift is going to get the opportunities that a lot of people have projected for him. They just are projecting a natural progression, but it's a different offense. Nyheim Hines is another guy I would consider here. Madison is purely backup in my mind, so I'm just going to take Jamal Williams and move on. All right. Let's see what's happening at wide receiver. There's still really good value at wide receiver. I don't like the idea of doubling up on the Dallas offense at wide receiver. I usually pass on doing that sort of thing. So even though Michael Gallup would be a great value at this spot, I'm left kind of questioning, well, why would I pick up a second wide receiver there from the same offense, right? Especially because I don't know how I get both of them into the lineup when I'm only starting 2 wide receivers, and usually I go with a running back for my flex just because I want consistency out of my flex position. So I don't know. Maybe because it's a shallower roster starting group, I can go with the second wide receiver there and be completely fine. I think that might be what we end up doing just because, Cooper is usually banged up and Gallup has done pretty well in the preseason so far. The guy I would consider here otherwise is Darnell Mooney. And so I'm just going to go with Gallup. I see it's pushing J.D. McKissick. A lot of people are hot on him. I'm not entirely sure why, but they like him a lot. All right, let's just double check our roster here. We got 3 spots left, and I think we'll probably try to get 2 more running backs if we can. If the value presents better at wide receiver, that's just the direction that we'll go. We are a bit thinner at running back. It's not exactly how I would usually build a team, but it is the way it is. So, all right. Let's see what's down here. Salvon Ahmed's hiding out down there. Ramondre Stevenson. We might lean wide receiver and then just end up coming back and taking a flyer on one of the running backs that's available. Wide receiver, you've still got Nelson Aguilar available. I think he's going to be okay. They're talking about Jacoby Myers a lot coming out of that camp. Jamison Crowder is not a terrible opportunity to grab. Emmanuel Sanders is always kind of solid. If we're just going to grab a pure backup, we could go with James White. That's an option too at running back here. Giovanni Bernard could surprise a few people, but I think I'm going to go with James White here. And then see what we have at tight end, wide receiver. If you've watched me draft at all, you know that I only typically in a standard scoring league or a PPR league draft 1 tight end and 1 QB. I don't really see the value in clogging up my roster with a backup in those positions when usually you can find somebody serviceable off the waiver wire. Now, in a 14-team league, that is a little bit more difficult to accomplish, but it's not a terrible impossibility. I think that it's thinned out a lot here on wide receiver and running back, so we should consider the doubling up there just because of it being a 14-team. If we end up with an injury to our QB or tight end, the waiver wire is likely to be a lot thinner or a lot more difficult to grab. guys off of. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Matt Ryan. That offense throws a lot. I don't think he's going to show up with Drew Brees' noodle arm this year. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him. We're pairing him up, I believe, a little bit here, are we? No, that was another one I did. So we've got Matt Ryan as a backup there. And then wide receiver, if I'm considering anybody, you've got Christian Kirk, but he's an okay pickup. You've got Jacoby Myers hiding out down there. His ADP is really high right now, but people should be considering him a little bit more than they are right now. I think that he's a very good possibility there. At running back, we've got, they're talking about Darrell Williams here, Justin Jackson, Josh Kelly. I mean, these are guys who just haven't been able to get it done. Benny Snell Jr. is just going to be a spell back. I think that if I'm grabbing, this is, likely my last pick of real substance. I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson. Grab a upside running back who has the potential to become bigger in that offense. He could end up supplanting everybody. He could end up getting no carries at all and just turning into Damian Harris like he did his rookie season, which was, I think he got like one carry that whole year and didn't suit up every other time. He's a healthy scratch. So we'll just take a flyer on Ramondre Stevenson. He's shown up well so far in preseason. And then we're going to go over, grab kicker, grab a defense. Let's see, the defenses. Here we go. Now it's reacting. All right. I like the Miami defense a little bit better, but it looks like a lot of defenses have already flown off the board. I'm willing to take a pass for right now in defense and grab a kicker just because it's a slightly better move at this point. And then we'll have a shortened opportunity to come back around. And yeah, there we go. So New Orleans Saints are still available. Dolphins are still available. I think the Saints are going to try to lean on their defense a little bit more this year than otherwise. And I look for the Dolphins defense to do a little bit better as well as the Broncos defense. I think both of them are going to do pretty well this year. But I'm going to go with the Saints. I like them a little bit better than the other two for the moment. So that's where I'm at. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this mock draft. And I hope that was helpful to the guy who made that request. It is a complicated spot. You are right at that point at which the switch over to wide receiver really starts to happen. I would say, though, that in a normal drafting situation, most of the time you're going to find one or two running backs that fall to you there, because I think that the 7th, 8th, 9th pick are likely to grab. One of them is likely to be a wide receiver. And so I think as a result, a running back does fall to you who is still a good value at that 10th pick that I would take ahead of the wide receiver, simply because I think that the wide receiver value is there often in that second round in that pick, that 5th pick of the second round there, or 5th pick of the second round. I think that you still have guys there who are elite value and elite talents at wide receiver and have the potential to finish as a wide receiver 1 for you. So that's the direction I would go with it, is to try to get a running back in round 1, go with a wide receiver in round 2 if you are able. I would say, though, that probably Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor are the last two I would consider there in that first round. So hopefully that's been helpful. Hopefully you guys are able to check out some other episodes on our channel and head over to our website. It's ffbupside.com, and you can check out the draft kit that we have over there. I've got it's up for $10 right now, and you can get that. It's the cost of 2 cups of coffee, guys. So thanks for hanging around with me. I'm going to do another mock for that'll be dropping on Friday. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.